Hi guys, I know it's after lunch, but hopefully I can match up the same energy as an NFT panel. So Babylon is an infrastructure play where we're trying to bring Bitcoin closer to the proof-of-stake ecosystem, and we're also trying to bring some of the fundamentals of the proof-of-stake ecosystem back to Bitcoin, and in general, the Bitcoin asset holders. My name is Sankha Banerjee. I'm the head of product strategy at Babylon. We are a protocol out of Stanford University, group of cryptographers, consensus builders, software engineers, and some professors. We've been kind of building this protocol over the last 2 years, and we are almost heading towards mainnet over the next 6 months. So this is a great place for us to introduce Babylon to the Bitcoin community, and I'm super excited to talk about it. Just making sure that the clicker works. Okay. Yeah, so I think we have been hearing about Bitcoin as an asset class, and everyone knows that roughly Bitcoin is like 60% of the crypto market cap, and it's an amazing asset class for builders to build on. I know like most of us have talked about the qualities of Bitcoin asset, but for us on Babylon, why we focused on Bitcoin was actually certain fundamental characteristics of Bitcoin. So as we know, like Bitcoin is heavily decentralized. It's the least volatile asset in the crypto ecosystem. The word unencumbered, the way we interpret it, it actually is one of the crypto assets which has the least liability. So if you're trying to build something on Bitcoin, that's where you have the least liability from any kind of centralized entities. And fundamentally, it's also idle. So you can actually create a lot of different use cases for Bitcoin. So for Babylon, what we are trying to do is we are trying to bring this fundamental primitive called staking to Bitcoin. So anyone who comes from the proof-of-stake ecosystem, they know that staking is actually a security primitive in proof-of-stake where you use the native token of the proof-of-stake ecosystem to secure the blockchain. So for us, we look at the Bitcoin architecture. So if you see, you have the miners, you have the POW consensus, and then you have very limited programmability, which is of the Bitcoin scripting language. So in order to overcome this limited scripted abilities of Bitcoin, there were multiple POS systems which came around: Cosmos, Polygon, Ethereum. So one aspect for us as in Babylon is actually, can we take Bitcoin, which is a proof of work asset, control 60% of the crypto market cap, and turn it into a staking asset for POS system. Right now, the POS system have security needs, and Bitcoin has yield needs. So it's a kind of a very interesting marriage in heaven that can we use the massive asset class of Bitcoin and bring that back to POS. So why are we so interested in this design? The reason is there's a JP Morgan study on staking as an asset class, and what they're saying is over the next 10 years, the staking asset class is going to be around 300 billion. As of right now, you have the top 10 POS chains, which are backed by $70 billion, and you have around $400 million of monthly rewards, which are given to these stakers. So the objective is, can we map the yield needs of Bitcoin stakers back to the staking market expansion, which is needed by the POS? So on one side, the Bitcoin holders can get the staking yield. On the other side, the POS system, they can get security. So Babylon, what we are trying to do is we're trying to build this two-sided marketplace that if you have Bitcoin as a holder, as a miner, you can go and secure the proof-of-stake ecosystem. And on the other side, the POS system gives you a security yield. So it's a two-sided marketplace between Bitcoin and POS. So let's really go a little deeper into what a POS system does. So you have a chain like, let's say, Cosmos. What it does is it secures the trust by its native token, the price of the token. And proof of stake has very defined slashing characteristics. The word slashing means you produce a block, you get reward. you do some bad acting, you get penalized. So that's what slashing means. Now, on proof of work, on the Bitcoin side, we have a very strong decentralized trust, which is coming from the proof of work miners. And then we bring Babylon, which is bringing this Bitcoin stakers. So what they're trying to do is we are trying to build the first time the word slashing into the Bitcoin terminology. Slashing meaning that if you secure the proof of stake, you get rewarded. If you do any bad activity, you get penalized. Second, we are using trustless staking. So we're not using a bridge, we're not using any custodian. So the same trustless principle of Bitcoin is preserved. And finally, we're enabling restaking, which means with one Bitcoin, you can actually secure multiple network. What I mean by one is not just one, but it's just a figure of speech. But with your Bitcoin, you can actually secure the proof of stake network. So that's the POS network. This is the Bitcoin network. So what we want to do is we want to offer POS yield to the Bitcoin holders, and then we want to give cheaper decentralized security to the POS system. That's what we define as a two-sided marketplace. So I want to go a little deeper into the point that what does staking mean and how is Babylon achieving Bitcoin staking? So we are not, as we know that Bitcoin does not have smart contracts, and we also know that we have not created our own chain on Bitcoin. So the first thing which we are doing is when we are building this Babylon technology, we want the Bitcoin capital to have the same citizenship as the native token in POS. So it's a fully slashable security we are offering to the POS chains. And second, we are not using any bridging or any custodian. So I want to kind of walk you through a picture. So Alice has one Bitcoin. She goes and locks the Bitcoin on the Bitcoin chain. Then she enters into a staking contract. This staking contract has two functionalities. It locks your Bitcoin on the Bitcoin chain for a certain time period. And while you are locked on this Bitcoin chain, if you do any bad activity on the POS, so what is a bad activity? That you sign 2 blocks at the same height. If you sign 2 blocks at the same height, your private key is revealed, and you go back to the Bitcoin chain, and your stake is moved from your own ownership. So that's called slashing, and that is the functionality we have brought in through the Bitcoin chain. And we are using this, as I have mentioned, that Bitcoin does not have smart contracts, so we're using advanced cryptography to enable this slashing on Bitcoin. Finally, if you don't do any bad activity, you get your rewards and you can unbond. So when you can unbond, what is the unbonding time? We have created a facility where if you don't like the rewards, you can unbond over a period of 3 days. And finally, this technology is applicable not just to one POS chain, but it can be applicable to any POS chain, Cosmos, Solana, Polkadot, Aptos. So as I said, that Bitcoin as an asset class is huge. It's probably the biggest asset class in crypto. It's mostly idle. So what is the objective of using this technology, and how do we take it to market? So this is like the Babylon ecosystem. It's a L1 on Cosmos. It's a blockchain. So we are getting the retail Bitcoin moved to this L1 from the OKX wallet. It's an interesting wallet because it can actually show you the native Bitcoin and the rewards on the POS exactly at the same time. It's a very unique wallet. They have around 100,000 Bitcoin on their wallet. And then we are getting these miners like Bit Digital, F2 Pool, and Galaxy from the institutional side to onboard the Bitcoin. So once we have this threshold Bitcoin, we're actually going on the Bitcoin chain, and there are these roll-ups which are being developed on the Bitcoin chain, namely Bison, and we're actually securing them. So that's like one aspect, that we're trying to secure the vertical demand which is coming from the Bitcoin chain. And then we're also going in the horizontal direction to the POS side, namely Cosmos, Arbitrum, Polygon, and some of these other POS chains we are in talks. So ideally, we have a vertical demand satisfaction on the Bitcoin chain itself, as well as a horizontal demand, which is coming from the POS. So now that we understand what Bitcoin staking means, what are some of the other functionalities which you can do using Babylon? So let's imagine there are 3 Bitcoin stakers. They stake on Babylon. What they can do is, for the same stake, they can secure not just a POS chain, but a bridge, but an oracle, as well as a data layer. So restaking is a very important element of bringing diversified yield. You, as a Bitcoin holder, you come in and you choose what are the chains you want to secure, and based on that, you get a very diversified yield. As you know that if you secure a POS chain, the yield is very different than if you secure an oracle, but we leave that to the staker. Second, because for the same amount, you can deploy it in multiple chains, there's capital efficiency. So what's the benefit for the POS SIN? The benefit for the POS system is that they are getting almost the same amount of security which a Bitcoin chain has. And that's a huge functional improvement, because unfortunately, before Babylon came, if you look at all these different POS chains, their security threshold is dependent on the market cap of the token. So if an oracle just has a $10 million market cap, that's the security threshold of that. Using Babylon, what you're doing is, across these different chains, you can standardize the security to the security of the Babylon stake. So the Bitcoin staker, for the first time, can participate in the governance of a POS system. And the POS network can choose what is the amount of rewards and vesting they can give to the Bitcoin staker. So we are actually the first protocol to create open governance between the Bitcoin stakers and the POS network. So I want to talk about a very interesting project which we are incubating at Babylon. So it's a roll-up on Bitcoin. So we are basically planning to give the Bitcoin stakers the yield in Bitcoin. So you have these Bitcoin stakers, they're pooling their Bitcoin, they move it to Babylon, and then what these Bitcoin stakers need to do is, in a roll-up, you have to validate the proof for transitioning from the previous state to the current state. So in order to provide this proof, the Bitcoin stakers get the yield in Bitcoin. So the objective of this rollup is to speed up the transactions on the Bitcoin chain. So whether you're building NFTs, whether you're building some DeFi application, if you have to go down to the Bitcoin layer 1, the latency is a lot longer. So what you're trying to do here is you're trying to use the Babylon Bitcoin security to fasten the speed of the transactions. So our plan here of using Bitcoin staking is to help solidify the fidelity of this proof N. It's very similar to what you see on the Ethereum L2s, on the optimistic rollups, where the verification of the proof is needed in order to transition the states. And we are planning to use the Babylon Bitcoin validators in order to secure this proof. So we have actually been working on this project over the last 2 years, and we have actually done quite a lot of infrastructural advancements between Bitcoin and the POS network. So a quick run-up. So in February this year, we came up with this timestamping testnet. We actually launched the Bitcoin staking proof of concept and an MVP last month at our native conference called Cosmoverse. And then right now, we're planning to go to the Bitcoin testnet by the end of the year. So if you go to our website and you want to be a staker or you want to be a validator, you can actually log in and sign up to the waitlist. And then we're planning to go to the mainnet around the halving time. And that's where I want to kind of stick this one point, that we see that the Bitcoin rewards are coming down, but Babylon's two-sided marketplace, where a Bitcoin staker can get POS yield, we expect to help the Bitcoin community by getting this additional yield. And fundamentally, around next year, when we get to mainnet, we have two other products in line. One is a data availability layer, and finally, a liquidity layer, where we are trying to move native Bitcoin from the Bitcoin blockchain into the different POS networks. Right now, one of the achievements we have had in the timestamping is we have 36 chains in the Cosmos ecosystem, which is using this facility. And then on top of that, we have actually had a governance proposal passed within the POS community to understand the need of such an infrastructure. Finally, on the Bitcoin staking proof of concept, we have actually done an MVP, so I invite anyone to come to our website and check it out. And I'm going to be around with my senior lead engineer, so happy to take any questions. We're going to be walking around. This is an amazing conference, a lot of interesting questions. So if you're a builder, you're looking to kind of use Babylon to kind of bridge between Bitcoin and the POS network, very happy to take your questions. Thank you.